Newcastle 2, Liverpool 3. Oh my God. It'll be the death of us, you know. What an extraordinary, remarkable, amazing game. We scored another 3, we let in another 2, we lose another 2-goal lead, and yet still win the game. And we score for the 36th Premier League game in a row, which equals the club record ever in our entire history. And we win it with the youngest goal scorer in our entire history in the 100th minute. One of the great moments in Liverpool history on display right there today for Rio Ngumoha. So just before I get into the game, I've got to call this out. The channel hit 5,000 subscribers today, about an hour before the game. Must have been a lucky charm. So thank you everybody. 5,002 now, by the way. So thanks, seriously. But anyway, on to the game. So I should be ecstatic, and of course I'm absolutely chuffed that we won the game. It's 3 more points in a very, very difficult place to go. But let's be honest, you can't be happy with that display from too many players. And I'm going to get into that towards the end of the video, because there are some real concerns on display today from my perspective. Because it was the worst Liverpool performance for a long time. And I actually think it might be the worst performance I've ever seen of 2 top clubs, where one has 10 and one has 11, and the 11 get so completely dominated throughout an entire half of football. So I'm not going to pull any punches about certain players, as I say towards the end of the video. Some can be excused, but some can't. So anyway, on to the first half. So Newcastle came out flying in every sense of the word, and only for Simon Hooper bottling it. He should have given Newcastle 2 yellow cards in the first 4 minutes of the game. The first one for a boot to the head from Joe Linton, the second one for a high challenge by Trippier, who then made another yellow card offence a couple of minutes later, and none of them were booked. Ryan Gravenberch then commits a yellow card offence and is booked. So after 6 minutes, it should be 2 bookings to 1, and it's not. It's 1-0, and the only booking went to Liverpool. And this is Simon Hooper for you. I think his performance in the first 20 minutes of that game was about as shocking a refereeing display as you can see. And yet again, we're talking about refereeing incompetence in the Premier League. Virgil actually went over to him and actually went like that. You've got to give decisions both ways. Why are you only giving them to one team? It's terrible. Liverpool, at the end of that half, had 9 fouls, which is the most we've ever committed on record in a Premier League game. Well, that's because half of them weren't fouls, but he was giving them. Anyway, I can't talk about him anymore. The review would be all about a referee, so let's get on to the football. Throughout the first half, we allowed the occasion to get to us, the crowd get to us. Newcastle's energy, thuggery, intensity to get to us, and we were getting bullied. And Arne Slot called this out before the game, because he saw us get bullied at Wembley, and he saw us, I wouldn't say get bullied, but lack intensity in the same fixture last year. But we couldn't handle their intensity, and they were dominating the half, and then suddenly out of nowhere we get one decent passage of play where we have controlled the ball and we make it count. Ryan Gravenberch gets the ball on the edge of the box and just fires it into the corner like he does it all the time. It's his first goal for 16 months, and what a time to get it. So we're breathing a huge sigh of relief, because we're 1-0 up in a game where we probably should have been 1 or 2 goals down, because they missed all sorts of chances, especially one Anthony Gordon, whose typical shithousery was on display, falling on the floor, buying tackles, putting his foot in to purposely get touched by people so he could go rolling over, gets players booked, got a player sent off last week. It's what he does. He's a disgrace of a footballer for me, and I thank God we never were looking at getting him, or if we were, we didn't get him, which is more to the point. But then his shithousery got him sent off as he went in flying into a tackle with Virgil and taking him out just below the knee in the calf, and that his sock came down. Simon Hooper, of course, doesn't give it, even though he sees it, and it goes to VAR, and VAR send him off. You only had to look at Virgil's leg to see the damage that Gordon had done with that challenge, and off he went. Sky at half time said, "Do you think he was a little over exuberant?" And I say, yeah. Shit out tackle by a player who does it all the time. I'm glad to see him off the pitch. So half time, we're 1-0 up and they're down to 10 men. You never could have predicted this after about half an hour of the game. So we come out like, right, all we need to do here is be professional. Well, it got better, didn't it? 22 seconds into the second half, and Cody Gakpo tries a shot, comes back to him off the defender, lays it to Ekatike, and he hits a cracking shot right into the corner. And it's 2-0. 2-0 against 10 men, whose only real weapon in terms of forward play was Gordon, and he's gone. So that's it, right? 2-0 up against 10 men. We can relax. But you can't relax if you're Liverpool, because we don't relax. We do the C word that I talk about every time it seems that we are in control of a game. We become complacent. We did exactly the same today. Do you know that when we scored that goal in the 46th minute, up until the winner, we didn't have a single shot on goal against 10 men? In fact, we barely had the ball. I know the possession says that we actually had 65% of the game, but that was because Newcastle were launching lots of balls, but we just kept losing it, missing out on challenges, missing out on tackles, pinned back by 10 men for the entire second half after we scored. And once we'd gone complacent, you can't get out of that complacency. And we were rattled. The crowd were back in it. We couldn't do the basics. We couldn't pass. We couldn't take the sting out the game. Complacency had been replaced by panic and a nervousness that you don't really associate with Liverpool, and certainly not this Liverpool team who are normally so controlled. But to be this outplayed by 10 men was a real worry. They get a throw in, and from the throw in you get a chance to cross. They cross it to the back post, and Gimaresh comes running in and just bullies Kerkez out the way and scores with his head. Kerkez is 1 inch shorter than him, and his defending was so naive that Gimaresh just couldn't miss. And it's 2-1. And we start to panic even more, and we can't get back into the game, and the crowd are up for it, and they're going at us. And we seemed to be getting away with it. We were ticking the minutes away. Newcastle were launching more and more balls in. And then they got a goal kick, 88th minute. And I don't know whether it was Virgil or Slot. They said different things, but when you look at the images, not really sure who made the decision, but we went with the highest line. And the keeper just launched it over the top. The forward runs onto it. He outmuscles Kanate, and he toe pokes it past Allison, and it's 2-2. And it was inexplicable as to how we played that second half. And you think we've thrown it away. How could we possibly throw away a 2-0 lead against not only 10 men, but they'd made all their substitutions and a head injury, concussion substitution. So we were basically playing against their reserve team. So now that there's only a couple of minutes left, Arne Slot rolls the dice and he brings on Elliott and Ngumoha. Ngumoha makes his Premier League debut at age 16 at 2-2 in the 90th minute. And all the substitutes got involved in a play on the right hand side. I think Chiesa was involved, Elliott was involved. It comes to Salah. Salah puts it across to Szoboszlai, who's now back in his midfield role after playing right back for most of the game. He does a brilliant dummy, and Ngumoha is free on his own. And his life must have passed by him as the ball came to him. But he curls a beaut into the far corner with Pope, no chance. What a moment. The 100th minute of the game, and he becomes Liverpool's youngest scorer in our history. And he goes running off to the crowd. Mo Salah ran all the way from the right wing to join in. I think that was the fastest Mo ran all day. And what a moment. It wasn't over. Newcastle had a couple more set pieces. They threw Nick Pope up into the box, and we just about survived. And we get away with probably the least deserved 3-2 win I think I've ever seen. But we won it. We won it. So on to the player performances, and I'm going to start with the positives. Szoboszlai, I was worried with him at right back, but he was excellent throughout the game. He's not a right back, so you can't expect him to do everything right, but he was solid throughout the game. He did some really good stuff, and it was his moment of brilliance that won us the game, when he should get an assist for that, because it was that dummy that won us the game. But he was excellent, and the pick of the bunch today. I thought Curtis Jones battled well, did some good stuff, didn't hide, and tried his best to repel Newcastle. So decent outing for Curtis Jones. Ekitike was feeding on scraps throughout the game, but he scored 3 goals now in his first 3 competitive games for Liverpool. The first Liverpool player to do it since Daniel Sturridge. And once again, a class finish. We got a player on our hands, and he didn't get a huge chance to shine today because of how the game went, but he still scored a class goal. It was good to see Ryan Gravenberch back, and he scored a goal today which ended up making a difference as well. He couldn't play his usual game because Newcastle were just bypassing that role, just throwing everyone into the box. And Virgil was a rock, and he had an excellent game, especially compared to a couple of other defenders I'm going to get onto in a minute. But he was being bombarded by Newcastle's consistent high balls, long balls, and he repelled the majority of them. So Virgil was by far and away our best defender of the night. It would have been more without him. So they're the pick of the players today. Let's get on to the worrying ones though. Konate, a horror show for the second week in a row. Bullied for the second goal. Gave the ball away constantly. Is it the contract situation? Has his head been turned? Because this is not acceptable from him in the first 2 games of the season. I actually don't think Konate is an Arne Slot player. I'll just say it. Slot wants highly technical, players who don't make too many mistakes, players who control their area of the pitch. I've said this in several other videos, and I don't think Konate does it, not consistently. And he was a liability again today. Too rash, not technical enough, too many mistakes in both games so far this season. On to Milos Kerkez. Like Konate, had his second poor game in a row. Konate bullied for the second goal, he was bullied for the first goal. He's not ready, and he needs to be eased in. He's 21, but it's a concern because Arne Slot seems to have just decided that he's going to play and Andy Robertson is not going to play. And I think we needed Andy Robertson's calm head and game management skills in that game today. And Kerkez was all over the place. Get Rob a win against Arsenal, please, Arnie. Kerkez is one for the future. He may well be one for many games this season, but he's not ready right now. Not in my view. The third of my big concerns, Cody Gakpo. Doesn't like a fight. doesn't like a battle. If you've watched my videos, I have called him out so many times for him bottling out of 50-50s, not winning his duels. But he took that one step further today. He bottled out of the occasion. He was missing for most of the game. He did virtually nothing. Yeah, he gets an assist, but that's not enough. He was invisible for most of the game. He just didn't look up for the fight at all. The Newcastle right back was given a free hit because they had no one to mark. Ngumoha came on and within 30 seconds of being on the pitch, attacked their right back. Something that Gakpo didn't do throughout the game. He ballooned a couple of crosses, curled them too far over players' heads. But you can't be in the English Premier League if you're going to hide in games. And he needs to toughen up or he's going to get replaced. And we have a 16-year-old right now who has been far more effective than him in pre-season and more effective than him in 10 minutes today than he was in 90. Now, there are a couple of other less concerning ones as well. One, Mo Salah hasn't started the season great, but he's got a goal and he's got an assist, and he would have had 2 assists if Curtis Jones hadn't whiffed that one when we were 1-0 up, when he really should have scored. But Mo needs the team to help him. I know that's true for every player, but he's a forward on the wing. He needs the team to be functioning, and he went functioning today. So Mo was quiet, but he did get his assist, and that's another goal contribution in games against Eddie Howe teams. That's 15 games he's played against Eddie Howe, and he's got 22 goal contributions against him. So not worried about Mo, but he has started the season slowly. The other one, Florian Wirtz. Now, like most of us, I've been expecting him to run riot in the Premier League and be head and shoulders above everybody else in the midfield area because he's such a class act. Well, it was a deer in the headlights today. I'm not sure he's ever experienced a game like that. In a game played at this pace, with tackles flying in here, there and everywhere. I remember when Fabinho first came into the Premier League and he struggled badly with the pace. I'm not suggesting Wirtz will going forward, but he certainly did today. And he was anonymous. The game just passed him by until he was substituted. Again, he's a class act, so it's on my less worried list. But I did have to call him out because he didn't play well today at all. So, we've scored 7 goals in 2 games and we've conceded 4. Similar to how our pre-season went. So our firepower is amazing and our defence currently is not. And we've got 1 week of the window left. So we need to bring in Mark Gahey and Isak. First time I've mentioned them. We've got to bring them in. We need Gahey because someone needs to replace Kanate, whether it's now or later. But we need competition for places back there. So let's do what it takes to get Gahey in. But we also need Isak because we're down 4 forwards. We've lost 4, including our beloved Diogo and Diaz and Nunez and Ben Doak. And we've only brought in Ekatike. So yeah, we've got brilliant forwards and lots of goals in us. But we haven't got enough players there. We haven't got enough depth. So I'm hoping to see both of them joining the champions this week because we need them. But it's 2 wins out of 2. No matter how we got them, it's 2 wins out of 2. And neither ourselves, nor Man City, nor Arsenal won at Newcastle last year. And we did it by the skin of our teeth. And we were lucky as hell, but we did it. And we're joint top of the league. We're one of only 3 teams that have got a 100% record after 2 games. And we are definitely going to play far, far better than that. Up next, Arsenal at Anfield. See you then. You'll never walk alone. Cheers.